Welcome to Commissioner's Corner. I'm Zamora with the City of McAllen, and here with us today is your District 2 Commissioner, Joaquin J.J. Zamora. Commissioner, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you again for the invitation, Xochitl, and good morning to you.
Good morning. So thank you for all your hard work for the City of McAllen. You are one of our city commissioners, and we here in McAllen feel we're very lucky. Our commission works together for the betterment of the City of McAllen, but of course you do have specific issues specific to your constituents, to District 2, and so that's what we want to talk about today. One of the issues that affects all of our districts, and especially District 2, is flooding. And for the past couple of years, the City of McAllen has been on an ongoing initiative to address this issue with drainage improvement projects. But what's going on specifically in District 2 that your residents, your constituents should know about to know how we're addressing this?
Yes, Xochitl, in 2018, the City of McAllen proposed several bond projects, and one of them was for stormwater drainage. In doing so, the good people, citizens of our city, saw the foresight to approve that bond in the sum of about $22 million. The entire project is of over $50 million. I'm very proud to report that about half the projects have already been completed, and we're steadfastly, continuously trying to have a completion date within the next year and a half. Specifically in District 2, we've had some flooding issues, and unfortunately, the good side is that the City of McAllen continues to grow. So with growth comes more asphalt, comes more concrete, comes more rooftops. But in doing so, we're also losing ground cover, right? So now we have impervious ground cover. The water has to go somewhere, and of course, at times when you have asphalt and concrete, the water's going to find the lowest point. And sometimes when it finds the lowest point, it's going to flood. And so as part of that bond project, there's several bond specific projects that are going on. One specifically is the Northwest Blue Line, which starts off just a little bit north of the 3-mile line, 4-mile line area, and continues north to Oxford. What's going to happen in that particular project is to widen and also deepen the drainage ditch in that park. In addition, Triangle Park, Madison Park subdivision has been one subdivision that's been hit hard with flooding, and Triangle Park is being looked at also for other remedial measures to reduce the amount of flooding in that area. Also part of the Northwest Blue Line project is the extension and expansion of the stormwater drainage along Auburn and heading north on the new, yet to be built, North 33rd Street, as new subdivisions are coming along. There's approximately 3 or 4 subdivisions with about 99 lots each that are coming on board, which is precipitating the need to expand 33rd Street, as well as the stormwater drainage that it accompanies it. Also, off 3-mile line, heading towards Taylor Road, there is the Torres lot property, which is being looked at and considered for regional detention facility. And regional detention facility, which is an RDF, is basically a pond that is dry most of the year, but holds water during flood events like we've experienced in the last summer or last several summers.
And this is important that we have these projects that are somewhat, in the foresight of thinking of how they will affect us in the future and in the long term, and building them oversized so that it can accommodate the flood water, the stormwater drainage that comes from various subdivisions, and we can collect it somewhere else because we do live in a very flat area here in the valley, and so that is important to recognize as well. But what's also important is that we know that flooding doesn't stay just in District 2 or just in the City of McAllen, and so working with our fellow municipalities, the cities that border us, as well as Hidalgo County, is important so that our efforts can continue, because we're all flowing to the east, we're all flowing eventually to the Gulf, and so that is what we're working towards. And so how are those projects going with our partner agencies out there?
So when we talk about partner agencies, we're looking at not just other municipalities like Edinburgh, Farm Mission, we're also looking at the county level, specifically with Precinct 4 and Precinct 2. And you well stated it, flooding knows no city boundary or county line, right? So we have to look at flooding as a regional approach. And certainly as most, I hope most would know, that the Rio Grande Valley really is one large floodplain. The elevation in western Hidalgo County is almost 300 feet in elevation, but by the time you leave Mercedes and go into Cameron County, believe it or not, you're already down to 60 feet. But from that point towards La Laguna Madre, you still have another 40 miles to go. So if you're a little bit math inclined, you can see that the slope is pretty steep in the western part, but as you approach the Mid-Valley, Westfield, Mercedes, it starts to flatten out, and that's where you start having a lot of the flooding issues. So earlier this week, I recently met with Commissioner David Fuentes, our County Commissioner for Precinct 1, as well as with Commissioner Eli Torres. She is our County Commissioner for Precinct 4. They have a proposal in which they're going to go out for federal grant funding to expand and widen some of the lateral drainage canals in our city, but also located in the cities of Mission, Edinburgh, and North Far and North San Juan. This will help provide us more capacity. And so when we do have flood events, it's important that we have capacity to hold water. Because, and one of the things that it's important to know is that we have to also retain our water. Because if we allow the water to go to the outfalls, which for the most part is the floodway that curves and cuts through most of Willacy County, well, Willacy County would be about under 18 to 2 feet of water, 18 inches to 2 feet of water. Of course, there are neighbors to the east, and that's not a neighborhood thing to do. So we have a responsibility to hold our water so that way the water can slowly flow out and eventually land in the Laguna Madre. So by increasing the capacity, we're essentially buying time. We're buying time for the water to collect, hold, and then over time, or the next day or 3 days, recede and flow out to the Laguna Madre. So we can't be very myopic and very confined to just the boundaries of our city. We have to think regionally, because what affects Mission, what affects Edinburgh, also affects McAllen, which affects Wesco and La Villa and Willacy County and downstream.
Right, and so we just thank you for your leadership on these drainage improvement projects. Aside from the bonds from the 2018 election, we also have the drainage improvement fee, and then of course the city itself also goes out for FEMA hazardous flooding mitigation grants and other efforts so that we can address all of these, and that's so important. But also part of that 2018 bond election was traffic improvements, and so that's something that's also really important no matter where you live. Again, we've been talking about the growth of McAllen and the development, which is always great, but of course it comes with other problems, including traffic congestion. And so District 2 is somewhat of a landlocked or inner city type of district. So how are we going to be addressing these issues for District 2 for traffic improvement?
So growth is good, right? But the downside is we get more traffic, you know, and I grew up in a time, because I was born and raised in McAllen, that, you know, I lived off 4 Mile Line and North 23rd Street, that you could get to La Plaza Mall in 10 minutes. Well, many of us still have that mentality, even though our city has grown from 70,000 people to almost 155,000 people. You know, it's really hard to keep that 10-minute thing. So what the city has done recently has been the expansion of Bicentennial, which falls on the boundary between District 1 and District 2. So that means more mobility, you know, and to me, mobility equals prosperity. And so one of the other projects that are coming down the pike is the expansion and widening of Dove Avenue, specifically the area between 23rd Street and Bicentennial. As it is now, a good part of it is just 4 lanes, no continuous center lane. So one of the projects is to expand it and widen to allow for a center lane to run continuously from 23rd to Bicentennial. Aside from mobility, it's a traffic safety issue. I've received multiple reports about trying to, you know, persons heading eastbound trying to make a left turn into the neighborhood Walmart, and they're causing a backlog. The other area too, as our city continues to move west and northwest in growth, we've seen at least 3 or 4 recorded subdivisions in the last 2 years along North Beston Road, north of 3 Mile Line. So we see that also as more housing, more roofs. So again, we have to address the mobility issue. So what the city is doing is expanding Dove Road, or Dove Avenue rather, to cross the irrigation canal. So there'll be now a connection from 41st Street all the way to Benson to allow traffic around the Wernicke Elementary School, which is in the Sharyland School District, for those that didn't know, to more conveniently access, you know, North 23rd and North 10th Street along Dove, rather than going all the way south to the 3 Mile Line. So those are the things that are coming down really soon.
Well, traffic improvement is certainly important, because that is key. Aside from just the efficiency of moving traffic, we want everyone to move safely as they go to work, to play, to home, to school, shopping, etc. All of the things that they can enjoy here in McAllen, whether they are residents or just people visiting in our community. And so that is something that's really important. So we're looking forward to those projects and how that will help expand and develop District 2. So one of the things that many people comment about McAllen is just how beautiful and clean our community is. It's a very forward-thinking city, and it's always been very well maintained. However, we've been seeing in the past few years recent outcroppings of illegal dumping in different areas, sort of somewhat abandoned areas or just unattended. Maybe there's no residents, and so I know that that's been plaguing District 2. So what are you doing to help us address this issue here?
And unfortunately for our city and for the district, district, and I think for all the districts, that is an issue that is becoming more common. As we have more people who move into our city, that means more rooftops.